The WZ-111-5A, Wargaming's newest in the game, still very old model, Tier 10 Chinese heavy tank. And there are some other changes in patch 9.19.1 that we don't really care about. So let's look at the tank. I mean, do we really care about small tweaks and balances and improvements to certain stuff and HD models for tanks below tier 6? Nah, we don't. This is the 113 as we know and love it in the game right now. And this is the WZ-111-5A, the newest, which I say a bit hesitant, tier 10 in World of Tanks. Hesitant because Wargaming has had this tank in the works for quite some time. This was originally going to be the tier 10 in the Chinese tech tree. And speaking of the tech tree, this is what it's gonna look like now. The 113 and the WZ-111-5A both branch off the WZ-111-111-114, and it will cost you just under 200,000 experience with the same price of 6.1 million credits. So now there are two tier 10 Chinese heavy tanks, and how do they compare? Well, Wargaming's compare feature is quite easy for this nomortanks.gg. The alpha damage 490 on the WZ-111-5A and 440 on the 113. Penetration is 1mm higher on the WZ, no big difference there. Gun depression for the 113 only over the side, not the front. Aim time, accuracy, damage per minute is minimal difference in between the two tanks. So what is the difference in the gun? It's the alpha mostly. 440 versus 490, you have a bigger impact shooting with the WZ. Hit points 100. The armor, it's just there's no big differences in between the tanks. Engine power, top speed is the same, traverse speed is the same. They are different tanks, but at the same time, they don't differ that much. It's almost as if the Chinese held on to an ideology and it worked for them. So it's just there right in front of you. You can check it out in game if you want yourself. They are two different tanks, but at the same time, they are very, very similar. So if the compare feature can't give us a solid difference in comparison for that matter, why not use some footage? Of course, the 113 as you will love it in the game right now, same on the test server, except for it has 7 degrees of gun depression over the side. Didn't really use it here on Ensk, but the main feature of the 113 is the 440 alpha, and it's fairly fast reload speed with 8.3 seconds I believe. WZ though, the tier 10 still has that weak lower plate, so watch out for that compared to the 113 and the WZ-111-4. The 113 is a bit of a bully, and it's a medium heavy tank. In it, I would say personally that the 113 is more of a medium tank than a heavy tank, but in a strong matchup it can bully the enemy tanks. It can be a heavy tank if it wants to, but it would fit more as a medium tank. In a medium heavy tank role, it would be better as a medium tank. But for example, here on Ensk there were no type heavy, mouse or any other super heavy tank, and I can be the heavy tank in this game. I can be an absolute bully, and that's exactly what I did. However, you did see a weakness of the 113. That ammo rack. I took 2 shots, and both those 2 shots damaged my ammo rack. I haven't noticed that so far on the WZ-111-5A playing it on the test server, but I'm pretty sure that it will be very Chinese in this aspect, and it will have pretty weak ammo rack and fuel tanks. The 113 is not that good on firing on the move. The shot on the Sheridan was a bit lucky, but it has a lot of gun dispersion while moving. And I've noticed that on the WZ-111-5A, that is completely different. That 1mm of penetration, 249 on the 113, 250 on the WZ-111-5A won't make a difference at all. So right from the start you can see that the WZ is a fast tank. It has the same top speed, slightly lower power to weight ratio than the 113 by just 2 horsepower I believe. But it's a fast tank. But what you will notice in this gameplay is look at that aiming reticle. As I'm moving, even if I'm stunned, it's tiny. It's absolutely tiny for, in comparison to the 113. The WZ seems to have very, very good gun dispersion values while driving and or moving, but not when turning the tank. I've noticed when you turn the tank, that is when the reticle finally responds a bit to actually the tank moving. Other than that, the WZ on the test server is very good at snapshotting. In that aspect, either the WZ is gonna shine or it will have a slight nerf before going onto the main servers. I know on super test it had 10 degrees of gun depression. 10 degrees! But here on the test server it has 7 all around. No, over the back it's 5 or 4 I believe, I'm not quite sure. Sides and front is 7 degrees of gun depression, which is really good for a Chinese tank. Only the Type 59. Wait, that has 7 degrees of gun depression as well, doesn't it? I think it now shares the best gun depression in the Chinese tech tree. And this is at tier 10 with a 490 alpha gun. It's unheard of, even the i7 only has 6. I was wrong, over the back it only has 1 degree of gun depression, which it would make sense, it has quite a long back. The WZ is front mounted with the turret, whereas the 113 is mid mounted. So I think on the 113 you have better gun depression values over the back than on the WZ. But what is now the big difference between the WZ-111 and the 113? This could be a question comparable to the T62A or 140. The 113 is a bit more of a medium tank in the heavy medium value, whereas the WZ is a heavy medium tank, but it can fulfill the role of a heavy tank a bit better. It has 20mm of frontal armor more, which is still poop because it's only 140 at a slightly worse angle, I think, than the 113. But it has that punchy 490 alpha gun that really hurts if you get hit by it. If you are a fan of the WZ-1114 at tier 9, as it is now on the test server, you will love the WZ-115A. Personally, I haven't played the WZ enough to give it a good or bad recommendation. I am a 113 player. I loved my WZ-1114 and I will probably get and enjoy the WZ-115A as well. And right now, I cannot say which one is better and or worse. The WZ seems to be better at snapshotting tanks, whereas the 113 is just a bit more nimble. So, no, I can't say if any of the two tanks are better. If you want gun depression, go for the WZ. To be honest, I don't know. Right now, I'm inclined to say the WZ because it's new as well. If you want lower alpha but a slightly faster reload, a bit more medium tank playstyle, I'd say go for the 113. Now you must be wondering by now, Phil, where's the Tankfest video? Working on it. It is currently 1 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, and I am far from finishing the edit on the Tankfest video. The teaser, I think, came out yesterday. For you yesterday, for me today on the Wednesday. If not, it will come out on the Friday. I'm gonna change the style of the vlog a bit. Last year I did a commentary and a normal vlog. This year I'm gonna combine the two. It's gonna be a bit of commentary left, right and center, a bit of music strewn through. It's a bit different this year, and I hope you guys will like it. It has taken me about 7 hours to do the first 13 minutes of it right now. And that's converting the video file to a not variable frame rate, because Adobe does not like variable frame rates. Oh, I might have to mention that this was the 3rd game I've played in the WZ. So there you go, the worst answer to a question you may want to ask yourself as well. Which tank to get first, the 113 or the WZ-111-5A? If you are a fan of Big Alpha, that you liked on the WZ as well, the 15A will pretty much be the tank you want to get. If you are a fan of 440 Alpha because you loved, for example, the T10, the 113 is right up your alleyway. It's almost the better comparison would be if you played the T10 next to the WZ, which one did you like better? 440 Alpha or 490? Go with that. But in the end, it's the same answer as on the 140 and T62A. Keep the tier 9 in this case. How did that Dutch word sneak in there? In this case, the WZ-111-14, because both tanks, the 113 and the WZ-15A, seem amazing, or are amazing. Unless the WZ gets a small nerf before the, patch hits. But get both of them.